Rashawn Blyden here. Election night results to be coming in soon, so let's tune it to Fox and see what's going on there, if we will.
Doing better on a percentage basis, but the raw vote doesn't help him a ton. That may suggest, as we pop around the map throughout the night, that the turnout for this vote could be lower than 2020. That's a COVID year, a pandemic year, a lot of people voting by mail, et cetera, and we'll see whether or not we're able to top that number from 2020, but it's questionable and debatable at the moment. If I've got time, I'll just show you Florida. Just one more time here, 30% in. Miami is missing. You know, we're waiting for the Hispanic vote down there in Miami, the Cuban vote as well. Broward County, 70% in. Heavily Democratic there, but about 60% of the vote right now going for Kamala Harris. The Trump team is saying that they're getting on the radio right now. They're cautiously optimistic. They're doing radio in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, all the way at the top. That means the former president telling people there's still time and finish strong. That's the message from Mar-a-Lago, right around down here in Palm Beach. Back to you, Brett and Martha.
You have time, Bill. We're going to have a lot of time.
Roger that.
Okay, yeah.
We have a lot of waiting to do
You
still.
know, Georgia is really crucial as we look at this raw vote total, and they're also getting a lot that we expect to come in very fast. Madison Allworth is actually in Norcross, Georgia, with the view from the ground. Hey, Madison.
Hey, Brett. Hey, Martha. So, yeah, polls have closed at a majority of locations here in Georgia, including the location that I'm at. I can actually see from my vantage point that at least one person has tried to come in past 7 p.m. and they are turning them away because this poll location, like most, closed at 7. But there are a few, because of issues, that will be open past 7 p.m. So 5 locations in Fulton County, 1 here in Gwinnett County. Those 6 had issues with unsubstantiated threats, so they were closed for a certain amount of time during the day. They've been allowed to be open for that amount of time past 7. We also have 7 precincts in DeKalb. That's another area in the Atlanta metro area that had bomb threats. We're still waiting to see if those locations are going to be allowed to be extended past that 7 p.m. window. So majority results have coming in. We've talked to the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, a number of times. He has reiterated he's really confident that majority results will be reported by 8 p.m. And now when it comes to how close it is here, recounts are not necessary, but if it's within 0.5%, a candidate can request it. We're going to start to get those results really any minute now. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, Madison, thank you.
All right, let's go to Sandra Smith, who is looking at these Fox News voter analysis surveys and picking up some information about different voter groups out there. What are you learning, Sandra?
Which could be telling a big story right now. And this is the first time you'll see this, and the first time since the polls have now closed, begun to close there, that we can break this down by candidate. Okay, first up, timing of your vote. We know so many went out for early voting. Let's see how those votes are breaking down in Georgia. Those who cast their vote early, look at this. They did not prefer a candidate if they early voted. It is split, 49 for Harris, 49 for Trump. All right, let's look at some of these other key data points. We know race was huge. The black vote was huge for Biden when he won by just a bit in Georgia there in 2020. So let's look at how they are turning out in this election. All right, this is the first time we can break this down. Among black voters and their support for Kamala Harris, while strong, she is below where Biden was in 2020, 4 years ago. This number for Biden was more like 91. So she's running about 8 points behind where Biden was with the black vote in Georgia in 2020. All right, I have another data point where I'm going to combine this with gender, okay? So now you look at the black male voter in Georgia. We know both candidates have spent a lot of time courting them there. Democrats have been trying to convince them that they could be better for the economy. Trump has been trying to woo those voters. Remember, inflation's more than 20% in that state. With black men, Harris is at 73%, Trump at 25%.
I bet black women is even
Let me give you
higher for
perspective and
Harris 'cause
context
they're
on that.
idiots.
Joe Biden in 2020 had this number at about 87%, okay? So right now, she's running about 13 points with black men behind where Joe Biden was in 2020. All right, another data point there, Brett, because I know you asked. Black women as well in Georgia. We have been watching this. Here it is. Strong showing, 89%. But let me give you the perspective on that. Joe Biden, with black women in Georgia 4 years ago, was at 95% of their support. She is also running behind with them by about 6 points. I'll leave you off with one other data point here. Again, this is the first time we are able to show you this. Education and race. Whites with no college degree in Georgia. Donald Trump, a strong showing there. He's at 77, getting 77% of their support. So we have a lot more data coming in, and we will continue to bring that to you. Brett, Martha?
Those are really interesting
Thank
numbers.
you.
They tell a story. They start to.
Yeah, so let's bring in our panel and see what they think about these numbers. Brett
Kentucky,
Hume, Dana Perino, Harold Ford
Trump
Jr.,
won
Karl
Kentucky.
Rove, Laura Ingraham, and Robert Wolf. Laura, welcome. Great to have you here. She's underperforming Biden is the headline there.
Yeah, it looks like right now, Harris isn't getting enough from women, at least in Georgia, that she would need to overcome what Trump is getting from men, both increase in support from black men and men overall. This is going to be the question throughout the night, because the Trump people and all their surrogate groups have tried to really mobilize men. We talked about this afternoon, Martha. I mean, from Joe Rogan to Elon Musk and all the other people down the line, they are trying to turn out that male vote. I would keep an eye on Virginia, and Carl knows this better than everyone else, but in 2020 in Virginia, Trump lost by 9.2. And in 2016, he lost by 4.9.
Looks like Trump
Watch
won
what happens in
Indiana
Virginia.
over
Youngkin
here.
has been phenomenal on the ground for Trump. And even if that lead is cut by half, let's say it's 4 points, that could be a bellwether of something to come. Also in New Hampshire, where I spent 4 long winters.
Yes.
See what happens in New Hampshire. It was very tight in 2016 and
Robert,
2020.
welcome to you as well. The state of Georgia, Biden
Banks
flipped Georgia for the
won
first time
Indiana
since
State.
1992,
He is
largely because of the
red.
black electorate. Looking at those numbers right now, it doesn't seem like she's delivering that same kind of power.
Yeah, those numbers seem
yeah,
soft,
Kentucky already said
although
that.
I would tell
Trump
you
won
I
that
was
one.
predicting North Carolina over Georgia for the vice president, because I think Stein will be like plus
50-50
15
in New
versus
Hampshire.
Robinson. And
The
I
governors.
think the governors, and I think that may help the vice president. But these are soft numbers, and I thought with Warnock and Ossoff, 2 senators that are popular, we would have maybe seen, a better turnout. So I'm hoping this is just the early voting.
Yeah, not all the data obviously is
Harris
in yet.
won
Carl,
Vermont,
what's your read on it?
Well, first of all, we're looking at
surprising
half
that's a
of the
blue
problem. The
state.
problem is that we're looking at is
That's
what's the
Bernie
division
country.
of the black vote by men and women, Trump versus Harris.
So
The other
far,
thing we need to
Virginia,
look at
Trump
is
is
turnout.
ahead.
A 1% decline in black turnout in Georgia over the last election would wipe out the 10,000 vote margin that Joe Biden had. So we're seeing part of the picture.
on,
Let's
no
see
more
if it's
numbers. They just
compensated
repeat
or
the
offset
same
a little
numbers.
bit by how much the black turnout is. Is it bigger than last time or smaller than last time? I'd make one other point. The other part of the Georgia equation that we're going to have to watch, we have a little bit of evidence from, and I mean a little bit of evidence from Indiana that we ought to be worried about, if the Trump campaign ought to be worried about, and that is the suburban support. Hamilton County went Republican 4 years ago. Trump won up 52 to 45. Tonight, with about 2/3 of the vote in, he's losing it to Kamala Harris, 50 to 44, or excuse me, 50 to 48. So he's running behind his performance. If that happens in
Indiana.
In Georgia, with these suburban counties like Forsyth and Cherokee, Gwinnett, which was won by Biden, but it has a huge biggest number of Republican voters in the state are in Gwinnett. You remember, Hamilton County, 34% of the Republican primary voters in May voted for Nikki Haley when she had no chance of winning. We're seeing that effect tonight with the county being blue, at least at this point.
Harold, it's just worth pointing out that the Fox News voter analysis is this rolling poll over several days, 120,000 voters asked a series of questions. When we look at that data that Sandra talked about, with the raw vote total coming in, we have a sense of how accurate or not accurate it is. So far, it's lining up. Your thoughts where you are.
But he got
So I think Carl's point is right. I think one of the things I would love to see in Georgia is not just racial breakdown, but just breakdown of women versus men. Because if indeed he's underperforming the suburban areas in Indiana, you could extrapolate perhaps that happens in Georgia. But I would agree, if these numbers hold up, if he's polling, he being President Trump, 25% amongst black men, that's a challenge. If you see that in the other big cities in the blue states, Detroit and Philadelphia.
Okay, let's Let's see if we could find. Let's see what other channels can we go to here. Give me a moment. I will find something else. Let's see here. Election results. Come on. Election results 2024. All right, let's see what comes up. Definitely not doing CNBC. I'm gonna have a, yeah, we're not going to do that. Let's see, 270 to win. What is this? This is some of the interactive map. Let's see what this is all about here. Okay, this looks interesting. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so let's take a look at this map. I just gotta change this up. Give me a second here. I don't trust the evil. We have, if you're not praying, we should be definitely praying, because we can't have that witch in the White House. We really can't. No leaders are going to respect her. She's a fool. I don't know how to put it. I'm going to put it nicely. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. All right, let me just straighten this out real quick. Here we go. Bada bing, bada bing. All right, leave it like this. Okay, so if we scroll here, it says, so far, Democrats is at 226, and Republicans is at 230. So what does those numbers represent? Let's see, we scroll down. So it's just really telling you the big picture. I want to know who's winning what. It doesn't really break it down other than telling you. Let's see what we got here. Maybe if we click, it doesn't let you click on anything. I don't like this. Wait, hold on. Live results, president. Let's go with that. Here we go. This is better. So right now, you can see, so Trump gained more as we flip, because remember when we were watching Fox, it was at 19. So right now it's at 3 and 28. And it tells you right here, let's see here. This looks like Kentucky, Indiana, and maybe this is South Carolina, I'm guessing. And then blue, you can see that's what the evil, wicked witch won. So yeah, we're gonna leave it on this. While it's on that, let's see. Let me see if I could find some other news. Let's see what Fox is saying. Let's see. We'll just have them. Let's see what they're saying now.
Philadelphia, that could be an issue as you think about the tightness of this race. But this campaign, the Harris campaign, has always said that it's women. They're going to be the key here.
At 7:30, and voter turnout has been strong. More than 2.5 million Ohioans voted early. This morning at 5 a.m., there was a line stretching around this entire building with people ready to vote, and it really reflects what's at stake. 17 electoral votes. Former President Donald Trump is expected to carry the state for a third time. But as you mentioned, the race that everybody is watching is between the incumbent Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown and GOP challenger Bernie Moreno. Now, Senator Brown has campaigned seeking a fourth term, trying to make this about reproductive rights, which are enshrined in Ohio's Constitution. And for that reason, Moreno told us last night it should be a non-issue in this race. And he says that Senator Brown is turning abortion into a political weapon.
There is no ability federally to be able to handle abortion at the federal level one way or the other. So what I'm going to focus on as a United States Senator is to bring people together on this issue.
Okay. I wanted to refresh and see if it caught up.
Day 4 with the
it's still at 320. Okay.
Inside the polling
319.
area. That was nice.
He said there weren't that many people left.
Okay, so let's go back to my map here. My map is still at 3 and 28. Let's refresh and see if anything is good here. Still the same. 3 and 25. 3 and 28. Let's see what the people are saying on X. Let's go to X, aka Twitter, and see what the Twitter affairs is saying. Okay, let's see, x.com. Okay, let's see what's going on Twitter, what people are talking about. So right now, we have Elon Musk. He says, we've been spending most of our lives living in an Amish parade. Okay. Anything else? Last election, I didn't know a single independent swing voter who was voting for Trump. This time, I don't know anyone who isn't. So there you go. Not see anything here interesting yet. Below are the R-D early vote details. Okay, we're not gonna. Election decision, who is this? Elon Musk says, I just voted in South Texas where Starbase is, and now I'm headed to Florida, to Mar-a-Lago, to be there with President Trump and JD and a bunch of other cool people. Cool. All right, let's get back to see if anything has changed here. It's still at 3 and 28. Let's see what they're talking about here on Fox. Anything good?
Maybe he felt like he had to be quiet.
Yeah, I think so. Battleground, North Carolina, also among the next batch of.
Let's refresh that and see if they're saying if any numbers has changed. Nope, they're still at 3 and 19. Okay, what happened to my volume sound? Okay, that's fine. We won't listen to them talk anymore. We were more interested in the numbers. All right, so that's fine. Let's see if we can find some news of any shenanigans. That's why that's what I want to find. See if there's any shenanigans going on. Because there was earlier some shenanigans in Pennsylvania. So let's see. Let's just go to. Let's see here. See if there's any shenanigans here. Election days. NYT election night coverage threatened as its tech union strikes over ridiculous woke demands. DOJ charged MI man on election day for threatening to shoot conservatives if Trump wins. Democrats, I don't even call it far leftist people are whacked in the head, dude. They are whacked. So yeah, they don't really say anything about. Let's see what happened here. First exit polls release, and there's reason for cautious optimism. All right, let's read this story we'll read the story and then get back to some election stuff. So, first exit polls release, and there's reason for cautious optimism. The first exit polls have been released for the 2024 general election, and there are some good signs for Donald Trump and some very bad signs for the witch. CNN reported the results of 3 questions from a nationwide exit poll that they say encompasses both early voters and day of voters. How are voters feeling about the way things are going in the United States? A total of 72% of those polled are early or either angry or dissatisfied. And you can see it there. But they are optimistic for the future. 61% says America's best days are in the future, while 34% say they're in the past. For me, it depends on if Trump is not. I have to be careful because this platform, if I say that the C word ended in T rhymes with teeth, they're probably gonna have issues with me. But if they do that to him, then he won't win. But I don't think that this witch is in position to win. Let's see. So yeah, I don't know about that, but let's get back to the map. Where is my map? So it hasn't changed. It has not changed. Let's see what we got here. So still, getting the closer we get to 8 p.m., the more that's gonna come in. But this first wave, let's see. Okay, let's see what's going on. Let's look at the Senate, see what's going on in the Senate. So right now, in the Senate, you have 39 for Republicans and 29 for the Democrats. And so far, I think that's just showing me, what's this, Indiana? Let's, how about the House? What's going on in the House? In the House, okay, it's not showing me any information. Oh wait, 5 and whoop, there we go. 49 and 19 leading Republican. And how about governors? I don't think there's a I don't think there's any governor races, are there? Let's see what it must be. It looks like 21 and 20 is what I'm seeing here. 21 and 20. And so John Carney, he's the he's the incumbent. He cannot run for re-election this year. So all these are incumbents. Let's see. I don't think. All right, so let's go back. Let's go to results by state. No, I don't want to go by state. Let's just go back to the president race. And so 32 and 3. So he picked up some more as we were sifting through. It looks like that's what is this one? West Virginia, I think. That's West Virginia. So he picked up West Virginia. So 32 and 3. And let's see if Fox caught up at all. Let's refresh this and see if they caught up. They caught up somewhat. They got 23 for Trump and 3 for the witch. And let's see what state that they say he won here. It is, come on, come on, give it to me, give it to me, ooh, ooh, give it to me. Banks, Republican, won Indiana for state senate, and Kentucky we know about already. What else do we want? So Harris is winning New Hampshire with 56 to 40 something. New Hampshire Governor Blue is winning there too. What's this? South Carolina, Trump is 59, 60, almost 4 to 40. Harris, we already know the witch won Vermont. I don't know what happened to the sound there. I didn't turn it on. Oh, it's on mute. We'll leave it mute for now. Scott, I missed it. Sanders won easily in Vermont. He's gonna die in office. He's so old. He's an old fossil fuel. Virginia, Trump is down 44 to 53 is what I'm seeing here. Okay. All right, what's going on? What's going on Rumble here? My Rumble phone is going on. Dan Bongino. Share your thoughts on the huge day. I'm not going to share my thoughts. I'll share my thoughts with you guys. Okay, so let's go to the other map. This map here seems to be ahead. Let's see what's going on in the Senate over here. 40 to 29 in the Senate, and in the House, we've got 50, 19. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. So far, so good. The numbers are trickling in. Okay, so let me just see by state. Alaska, we got 0, so Alaska didn't come in yet. It's interesting to do it by state. Alabama, that didn't come in yet either. Arkansas. Oh, let me just go back to the top. I didn't read on there. It's telling you when for Alaska, the poll is closed, so, but they haven't counted anything yet. Okay. Then we have Alabama. The polls close at 8 o'clock, so I'm not gonna. How about Arkansas? Polls close at 8:30 in Arkansas. Arizona, 9 p.m. I am not pulling the all-nighter, dude. I'm just not doing it. If I didn't have to work in the morning, if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, you can do that in the link. Let's see. Wow, this one closed at 11 p.m. Gee whiz. Colorado, 9 p.m. What else? All right, This is just too much. I can't go through all these. Let's see my home state. We close at 8 p.m., but I'm not expecting Trump to do well here because we suck. I voted for John Deaton. I'm hoping that he takes out Elizabeth fake Warren. All right, let's see any changes here. Still 32 and 3. 32 and 3. Okay. What we got for news? Anything good? Anything good? Let's refresh. Let's just try New York Post, see if anything good there. America decides. Polls close in critical swing state Georgia. Trump projected to win West Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana, and Vermont goes to Harris. So that's pretty much what we saw already. We did see that. We saw that already. All right, let's go back to my poll. I mean my my map. Okay. Let's see here. Anything on Fox? What are they saying here? Oh, that's not Fox. That's my artwork. If you want to buy some of my art. Let's see here. I have too many windows open. There we go, Fox. What are you talking about, buddy? We're gonna unmute them for a second.
On X saying stay in line.
Yeah, stay in line. Don't get out of the line because, you know, Harris supporters were reporting in Pennsylvania, Lehigh University students, that they waited in line for 6 hours to vote. 6 hours, and that was confirmed by a bunch of other reporting. So people have to, and a lot of people can't wait in line for that long. And so that could end up being something that both parties complain about in the end. But, you know, we'll see.
Robert?
So, as you know, when we were all at the convention together, I said that Kamala Harris was the underdog and that Trump would win. And I didn't shift until maybe with Martha like 2 weeks ago. And the reason was the following. One, on the economy, yes, it's number one, but it went from Trump plus 15 to Trump plus 8. And so that was a big difference.
And some polls had it even tighter.
And some, I think Fox ended up at 6. And then the second thing was the money. Harris campaign raised $1 to $2 billion. All of a sudden, it wasn't just the blue wall. Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina come into play. And Martha and I have spoken about it, not to make this a gender issue, but Arizona and Nevada do have reproductive rights on the line. So that makes a big difference on the gender vote. So listen, I'm not going to say I went from optimistic to nauseously optimistic. I'm going to stay at optimistic, but we're going to have to see what happens in Atlanta and Charlotte and some of the big cities that, you know, we're depending huge votes for Harris. But it doesn't feel as good yet.
But we have a lot of vote that is still outstanding, right, Carl?
Sounds like you're a
absolutely.
leftist wacko.
You know, we some of these smaller counties in Georgia and North Carolina will come in quickly, but the bigger counties where this will be settled will take a little while to get compiled.
But you'll be looking not only at how she's doing versus Biden, but how he's doing against himself, 2020 and 2016.
Right. And my suspicion is that we will see a pattern of he's doing better in rural areas and he's doing slightly worse in urban and suburban areas. And the key will end up being, the decider will be, if he continues to get 25% of the black male vote, this will be the best Republican performance in that group since at least 1960. And it will be powerful.
Okay, that's one to watch. Thank you, panel. The countdown is on to a slew of poll closings across the country, including the Big Kahuna.
Right.
Pennsylvania, one of the biggest battleground prizes of the night. Our special coverage continues here on Fox.
All right, shut up. Let's go back to my my map here. Refresh this. Still at 32. So in about 15, 17 minutes, we should get a lot more results. It'll be 8 o'clock. Maybe I'll go up until 9 at the latest, and then I am done because eyes are tired, and I am on a diet because I had my physical, and which is not surprising because it runs in my family. My blood sugar is really high. So one of my buddies from church, Rich, he said that this stuff here, vitamin K2 plus D3, this helped regulate it from someone on YouTube, a Dr. Berg, I believe. So giving that a shot and see how that works. But I'm also I'm not doing any sugars or starch for 2 weeks. This is probably too long. It's probably too long. It's not healthy. And my body's gonna react badly. But let's see what else we got for news here. Let's see about town hall. Let's see what they say in town hall. Town hall. Cory Booker makes a disturbing admission about the men voting for Kamala Harris. Do you even care? I don't care. Here's why nearly 40,000 votes need to be recounted in Milwaukee. Okay, this I care about. Let's see what's going on in Milwaukee. The article has been updated to include a statement from RNC about such an error. Nearly 40,000 mail-in ballots will have to be recounted in Milwaukee after a tabulator error. The process will take hours. Just hours into the election day, election officials discovered an issue with a tabulator not being sealed. This resulted in all 13 of the machines involved being reset out of caution. One of the machines are reset. Once the machines are reset, the ballots will be run through the machine. So there you go. Let's see. Someone's talking about it here. Breaking. Come on. I don't hear anything. Alright, there doesn't seem to be anything there. It just says breaking. Okay, so there you go. What do you think about that? Wait, someone says, who is this? Libs of TikTok. Let's see.
Steady stream of people coming through here, and they're expecting this to be potentially one of the highest percentages of voters turnout that they have seen ever, with 95 potentially % of registered voters showing up here at this poll. But I do want to give you some new information that we have just gotten in the city of Milwaukee, which is about 20 miles from where we are. We are in the suburbs here. They are now saying, according to election officials there, that they're going to have to rerun about 30,000 absentee ballots through tabulating machines for an abundance of caution, because what they learned is that the doors of one of its tabulating machines were open. It hadn't been closed properly, and they want to make absolutely sure that the machine counted everything properly. So they are rerunning 30,000 ballots. Why that is important is it will mean that there will take a longer time to count those absentee ballots. And if you will remember, back in 2020, it was the absentee ballots and waiting for those to be counted, which we heard Donald Trump and the Republicans jump on, saying there's some sort of malfeasance. Officials are saying this is not the case. There was an issue with one of the machines not being closed properly, and they want to make, out of abundance of caution, sure that each and every vote is properly counted. So we may have to wait.
Yeah, hopefully there's no shenanigans, and you have a Houdini of well, I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole, but you can imagine what I'm thinking. I don't trust these people as far as I can kick them. I am not a bit. All right, let's see what's going on here. We still got, let's see, Senate we got 40 for Republicans, 29 for Evilcrats. House, we got 49 for the Republicans, 19 for the Evilcrats. Let's go back to president. Still at 32-3. So, let's see what they're saying on Fox. Let's try to refresh this. Let's refresh.
There, you know it has been intense. Voters are telling me all about the tidal wave of campaign ads and polling experts trying to dig in and learn how they voted and why. Well, that's because in recent years, those states have been key in determining the next president. But voters all across America know their power. And with me for the evening, the linchpin of our great republic, the voters' voices. You guys, it's good to see you. Welcome. They fall all along the full political spectrum, and over the next several hours, we will hear their take on the race for president and what the issues were that swayed them one way or the other. And the other person who's with us tonight is a friend I've invited, polling expert Lee Carter, president of Maslansky and Partners. Warm welcome to you, Lee. You got a big night.
Thank you. Big night.
Yeah,
so excited to be here.
Yeah, we've been talking to voters and so on and so forth. And let's just start off with a show of hands real quickly. Because the numbers for early vote, 84 million just now, and still counting all those mail-in ballots. So it's huge, incredibly large, setting records this year. How many of you voted early?
Wow.
It's a lot, right?
It's a lot.
Yeah, and how many of you voted today? Yeah, well, we would expect not as many, right? So how does that compare with what you find in your analysis?
Well, what we're looking at right now, they're saying that about half people have early voted. And I think that's a, you know, and so we...
Okay, so I don't want to listen. I don't want to listen to that anymore. Still 32-3. In 10 minutes, we should see this to jump because it'll be 8 o'clock. It'll be 8 o'clock. What's this forecast? What's that? Forecast. I guess I don't know what this forecast means, but if the forecast is saying 2:30 to 2:26, what does this mean? I don't know what this means. Let's go back to live. Live. This is just not moving quick enough for me. Let's see here. Oh, man. Okay. There we go. Still got 32. Okay, so let's go back here. MSNBC Joe Scarborough melts down on election day. Let's see. Do they have any video of him melting down? Let's see.
We still have an electorate 70 million plus that will be voting for a man who said he was going to assassinate for treason the chairman of the Joint Chiefs because he didn't support him on January the 6th, who has said just in recent days he was going to execute Liz Cheney with a firing squad, not
all lies.
At her face, a man who has said that he was going to shut down CBS because he didn't like how they edited an interview, a man who said he was going to be a dictator from...
Okay, I can't. These people just lie and lie and lie. I'm not going to deal with that lie. I'm tired, folks, so I can't do it all nighter. I'll try to go to 9 o'clock at the latest, but hopefully when I wake up in the morning, there's no shenanigans. So I'm hoping that it's all settled before. I hope it don't take more than 1 to 2 days at the most. I wish it used to be like the old days, paper ballot, you know who was president the same day.
Night, let's go to back to Brett and Martha.
All right, Harris.
Thank you, Harris. Thanks, Lee. So the clock is ticking down to one of the biggest poll closings of the night. Pennsylvania is about to finish the voting process. Our special coverage continues with Jesse Waters and Sean Hannity coming up.
At SimpliSafe, we build advanced security sensors.
No, we're not doing SimpliSafe, even though I have SimpliSafe. The inflation affected them as well. My subscription went way up, way up. Let's see, anything, let's see. Let's refresh this. I don't want to SimpliSafe commercial, thank you. It's still on. Okay. Wait, did something just come in? No, nothing. Thought something new came in. Apparently not. Apparently not. That's still the same. In about 4 minutes, we should start to see some numbers changes. It'll be the 8 o'clock. And then we'll go up until 9:15 at the latest, and I am out. Outie, out. You're on the stand. All right, let's see. What is this? Popular vote, Trump is ahead, 55%, 43%. Seats flipped, 4 of them. No, none. No seat flipped. 1 flip for Republican in the this looks like the Senate, I believe. I can't see the top of that. Let's see. The House, okay, that was for the Senate. The House, we got 1 flip for Republican, and what else we got here? Go back to, oops, that's not what I want. I want this, there we go. 2 minutes. 2 minutes till more polls ago. Let's see what's going on my phone. Anything good? Anything good? I don't see anything. I'm just looking. I don't see any changes. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Lots of commercials. Gee whiz. Oh, here we go. They're back.
Have a call to make. The Fox News decision desk can now project that former President Trump will win the state of South Carolina. So we are counting down the minutes to the next poll closing. And there you see the race to 270 ticking up on the former president's side at 32-3 for Vice President Harris as the states are called. We will continue to see that. And obviously 270 is the magic number.
We got a long way to go. A lot of filling in of this board and these states, but some places are getting very interesting as we get closer to our next round of poll closings, which are coming up in just a little while. And that will include Florida, where the Trump campaign is watching the results tonight. Let's go to Steve Harrigan. He is at Senator Rick Scott's campaign headquarters in Bonita Springs, Florida, which has tightened up a little bit. That race has gotten interesting. Steve?
Martha, they're starting to cheer here. It's a pretty relaxed, confident mood. Rick Scott told us earlier this was the first time he's ever run for state office where he's actually been predicted to win. He said that's largely because of a strong performance in early voting. More than 8 million Floridians did vote early. That's about 50% of registered voters. And we were out there today at one ballot station, and there were people lined up, hundreds of people who stood 2 hours in the rain to cast their ballots. Some people expect counties could go as high as 90% voter turnout. A couple of items could complicate things throughout the night. One is an abortion initiative on the ballot that would extend Florida's strict abortion law. The other would be to legalize recreational marijuana. Both of those items will need 60% to win. Martha, back to you.
All right, Steve Harrigan, thank you very much.
The delay on the TV, they just got it. They just saw it. We're back with our panel, and we add Kellyanne Conway, Jesse Waters, and Jessica Tarloff. Kellyanne, you see some other things that you're watching?
Looking at some suburban bellwethers coming in. Hamilton, Indiana, 70% of the vote is flipped back to President Trump. Loudoun County, Virginia, we know has really been trending toward the left. It's been a swing to the right by 8 points compared to 2020. So you look at something like that, you understand why Karl Rove today said it could be tight in Virginia. Fayette, Georgia, Trump +2, that's a place that I had said early on, Harris will have to do well there to compete in Georgia. Also, as Pennsylvania closes its polls, Brett, I think it's worth noting, Martha, that this is like political malpractice that she didn't pick Josh Shapiro between the fracking, the school choice, the Jewish Americans. But yeah. I think that we'll be talking about that tonight.
We will look a lot at Pennsylvania. Election night in America just getting started.
We are seconds away from 17 states plus Washington, D.C., including New Hampshire.
Okay, that's what I'm looking at. You guys are behind. I'm gonna. Okay, well, Trump is at 62 over here to 3, so he won Florida. So that's good. He got Florida. So let's see what else. Let's see if anything else changed. Senate, we got still 40-29. And the House, 96-55. Very good. Okay. Come on, I want to see some more numbers. Let's see what they're saying over here.
Statewide race, Maine gives 2 electoral votes to the winner of the state and 1 vote to the presidential winner in each of their congressional districts.
So like
Harris will win the 1st district, the rural 2nd district. Too early to call in the state of Maine.
In the Southeast, Fox News can project that Trump will win Tennessee, a longtime Republican stronghold. Not a really surprise there. Further south, the former president will again win Alabama. Big numbers there.
72
and the former president
105.
will win neighboring Mississippi. Trump will cruise to victory in Oklahoma as well, where Democrats haven't won a single county since 2000.
And Missouri will also deliver a win for the former president. Vice President Harris will also take some big victories this hour. The Fox News decision desk can project that the vice president will win Illinois, adding 19 electoral votes to her tally.
She will also win New Jersey, another reliably Democratic state. Some people had thought New Jersey might be a little bit tight, but we're already ready to call New Jersey my home state. Exactly. Voters in Massachusetts will deliver a clear victory to Harris as well, so no mystery in those states.
Staying in the Northeast, Fox News can project that the vice president will win Connecticut. She will also win Maryland, that state worth 10 electoral votes. There's an interesting Senate race there.
Yeah, Harris will also take Rhode Island, another Democratic stronghold, and she has a lead in Delaware, President Biden's home state, of course, but it is too early to call in Delaware at this point.
The vice president will win the District of Columbia, which has never voted for a Republican, and it continues not. If you look at the Electoral College and the race to 270, it obviously changes with all of these numbers. It is in the corner of your screen, 105 to Harris 72, and there you see it full screen. As we start to fill in this map, little by little, we're going to get closer to 270. Remember, there's some big states, including California, all the way out in the west, that'll adjust this number for the vice president. We're back with our panel. Jessica, Jesse, and Kellyanne, we added you. Jesse, thoughts?
Are we sure about New Jersey? Oh, man, I voted next to a guy this morning wearing a garbage bag, so I thought the state was a lock. I guess I was wrong about that. I also just heard from a person who was not going to vote, and then his girlfriend called him and said, if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, we're breaking up. So he just drove 2 hours to the polling station and waited 2 hours in line. So I still don't understand people. And I'm not going to give you the county by county because I don't have that in my wheelhouse, but I will say I was just watching something interesting in Georgia where she's not performing as well with black voters as Joe Biden. And Donald Trump has flipped the script with indies. He's up 11 with independents, whereas Biden had beaten him by 9 with independents. So those are just interesting things to look at. Other than that, if you look at these exit polling or the Fox News voter analysis, you think this would be a runaway Donald Trump victory. I don't understand if only 13% of Americans feel they're getting ahead financially, that Kamala Harris is even competitive.
Yeah,
and
I don't get it either.
Bravo to the Democrat machine to make this race competitive, because she came out of nowhere. No one knows who she is. She didn't run a very specific campaign, and she is making it, they are making it a very competitive race. I mean, we haven't called anything surprising except for New Jersey.
You were surprised.
I was.
Jesse Tarlow, welcome. Good to see you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Your thoughts so far on the evening?
Not surprised by New Jersey, and I'm sorry for you. You had been bragging about that one for months to me.
Okay. I was wrong once.
One time. It's been interesting to see, obviously, what's going on in the suburbs, if this is a harbinger of a good night for Kamala Harris.
Okay, let's see. Let's refresh some news, see if there's anything up to date here. Okay, I don't see anything. Nothing there. What is this?
Handle the economy and is leading on protecting the middle class and cares about people like me.
Harold, can we talk a second about Florida? You know, it wasn't close. We just called it for the former president. It's a big electoral vote haul. But if you think about it, you know, in elections past, Florida was a swing state.
Yep.
2022, Ron DeSantis changes that and makes a red state. And even in Miami-Dade County, the Republican is taking home a vote, including Latino vote, which could bode something else beyond Florida.
DeSantis will probably be a big part of that story. It's important to note that they also had an abortion initiative on the ballot there in Florida, and it looks like it's going to win the right to an abortion initiative, 57-43, almost like the same numbers that Trump won with, maybe a little bit better. So people split the ticket there, those that were going out, and indeed, perhaps some Republicans voted for that. But you got a strong governor like you have in Florida. You have one in North Carolina. She's going to need that governor, Kamala Harris, to help her get over the hump there. I mean, you got a Democratic governor there and a Democratic that's now been elected. I'm curious about these suburban areas. I listened to Carl and now Jessica, now Kellyanne. It may be that even in Virginia, and you were talking, Britt, you look at the issue around LGBTQ+ and how those issues have played in the Virginia school system there. And that Loudoun County number is an interesting number. Yet you see in some of the other suburban areas in Indiana, he has not performed quite as well. So it's interesting to me to see this, and maybe it's not, these states are a little different now than voters are in suburban areas.
Yeah, Bill, you have Loudoun County up there?
Yeah, we were just Fairfax County. That's an ex-urban county.
Yeah.
What was 2020?
Yeah, let's look at 2020 versus now.
Okay, so I want to show you guys the Fox Insights that we have, and we can go into this county here. You see this green outline? So we can show you what the vote was at this point 4 years ago, okay? Let's go ahead and click on this and find out together, okay? Loudoun County with 96% of the vote reporting in that county. Trump's got a 3.3 jump higher than he was performing 4 years ago. Now we'll clear this off here. How it computes here on the computer with 4 years ago, that's a slip about 4.5 points for Kamala Harris in that county. And Harold, maybe it is the issues in the schools. Maybe it is the transgender issue that the Trump team pushed so much during this campaign, and maybe that's having an impact on that. Let's move away from Virginia. There's a couple interesting stories I just want to bring our viewers up to date on. Just punching around this map here. You can find a little good news for Kamala Harris. You can find good news for Donald Trump, and I'm going to show you why here. Down in Florida, just looking at Duval County and Jacksonville, okay? This is advantage Trump from where he was 4 years ago in Duval County. You see that? You see that swap? Flipped it by 5 points there. Now I want to go up to Georgia here, and in the rurals, east of Atlanta and to the south. Now the Fox Insight here, right? Okay? That's Baldwin County. The county seat in Baldwin County is Milledgeville. It was the Confederate capital of Georgia during the Civil War. Now, our Fox Insights tell us right now, look at this, okay? It has 2 colleges in this county. The African-American population is about 44% countywide. Trump right now, at this moment, with 84% of the vote reported in Baldwin County, he's up 7.5 points from where he was in 2020. You know, the Trump team's going to take that. Likewise, okay, the metro area of Atlanta. Let me pop out here. You got 26 counties to concentrate on. But the Harris folks are telling us in Douglas County is that she's performing better than Biden did 4 years ago. Okay, these are suburban voters all over the Atlanta metro area. So she's a net gain of 18,267 right now. All right, you got about a quarter of the vote still out there. Biden finished in Douglas County with a net gain of 17,360. That would be good news for the Harris campaign if this number holds there in Douglas County. Let me pop out here a moment and show you another thing here that we were looking at.
Wait, can you stay in Georgia for 1 second?
I can.
Just before we leave there, the Fox News voter analysis and the network's exit polls, we're being told, show the former president doubling his percentage of black men in Georgia. He was at 11% in 2020 and now at 25%, according to these 2 surveys today.
So that may sync up with what...
It's starting to match the raw vote.
That may sync up with what we're seeing now in Fulton County. Now, you got almost half the vote still out there, okay? Yep. 52% is the estimated number of votes that are in at the moment, okay? So roughly 48% out there. This is Fulton County. This is Kamala Harris. She's going to win the county, okay? But look at the raw vote total here. It's impressive, 129,000. But look what Joe Biden did in the same county, okay? 242,000. You'd have to go into the precincts to know where the rest of the remaining vote comes from, and maybe we take a look at that in a moment here. But that would be, you know, you're one of 159 in terms of population. So maybe what you're saying, Brett, about the African-American male vote there is true in places like Fulton County, Georgia. Just want to caution you, there's still a lot of vote out there. But we're going to keep a very close eye on Fulton County starting right now into the night here in Georgia.
And Bill, do you have any indication that turnout is a bit lower than 2020? Because that would affect some of what you're doing in these comparisons as well.
I can tell you this, Martha. Before Election Day, Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, set up an awesome website. And I mean, just county by county with the early vote. I was on there every hour of every day just trying to analyze it. One thing that was evident from the early vote, don't know about today just yet, but based on the early vote, the African-American population in Georgia is about 33% statewide. What the political analysts will argue is that you need, in order to win statewide as a Democrat, you need 30% of that vote. And the early vote indicated that Kamala Harris was just a tick above 26%. So that's another indicator, maybe another data point that we need to keep an eye on throughout the night as to what Brett was talking about a moment ago.
Brett, what are you looking at?
Well, I've been keeping an eye on this issue that was raised in our voter analysis. It said that fully half of all voters say the future of democracy is the most important factor in their vote. That's a big number. I mean, that's a lot of people worried about that. Now, Trump gets some of those voters, but 60% of them are more going for Harris. I think that issue, democracy, is about one thing, about Trump and fear of Trump. But it's the same factor we keep coming back to time and again is, the Trump factor in this race is, is he able to overcome the resistance to him, which has been so dominant in three previous cycles? And that's what that vote is about.
Because if you were just running on the issues that include the most important, economy, immigration,
right.
You wouldn't see.
Wouldn't see that, but you got half of people thinking that's important.
And
that's a Trump. That's a Trump.
A huge issue for 2020, and it also resurfaced a bit with candidate selection in 2022 that he got blamed for. So the question is, are we going to see the increase in his approval numbers translate into something positive for him tonight?
And if you work your way back to what that's about January 6th.
Can I clarify
something? The price he paid politically for January 6th is still being paid.
And it also was hammered over and over again by current president.
Okay. I don't care about the January 6th crap that they just, I hate these people. I'm wrong. 8:15. Now you expect that more would come in, but my other map is like it's frozen in time. It's just stuck there. It only has Kamala at 70-31. Fox got her at 70 something. That's because okay, I see why. Fox already called Connecticut and New Jersey for Kamala, but they have it over here. It's a toss-up, but it's not a toss-up. All right, now I see why it's behind. It's behind because it's okay, let's see. Let's get some volume here, please.
The crowd behind me still hasn't really filled up the convention center, and that's because I'm told that there's a long security line. Apparently, a lot of folks are at the Hilton partying right next door and still haven't made their way over, and that's because there's a really long security line. They got to go through the max before they get in here. So that is what's holding up the people, the spaces that you see behind me, and why that hasn't filled up just yet. I want to just talk about, you guys were on the big screen when you called Florida in here, and everybody erupted into a cheer. I was just talking to Congressman Mike Waltz of Florida, of the great state of Florida, and he was telling me how it was a record early vote turnout, and that's why. And he thinks that's going to resonate across the country today. People are going to come out and vote for Trump. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Aisha.
Aisha, thanks. Let's check in with Jackie Heinrich. She's at the Harris campaign headquarters in Washington, D.C. Hi, Jackie.
I don't care.
Hey there, guys. It's quite a different scene out here compared to where Aisha is. I should note that at Harris headquarters, we don't actually have Harris campaign officials because they're all in Wilmington tonight. So we're trying to get a sense from campaign officials about who was invited to this event, how many thousands will be here, and who's in the crowd. But I am hearing from people close to the vice president, sort of watching these reports come in. They started tonight very anxious about Georgia, and the first batch of data that they're getting is leaving them feeling pretty buoyed about it. A source close to the VP says that they're seeing really high turnout in the metro Atlanta area, and as of a short while ago, they had a 10-plus point lead among women showing up. And also, they noted that black turnout was slow to start, but it is finishing strong, and they attribute that to their get out the vote effort. One thing they've been wrestling with is whether or not they underestimated Trump's get out the vote effort. So far, they're not seeing.
All right, with music playing, I don't want to. Is the music done? Okay, good.
Passed, though, because you had to have 60%. So I misspoke, but he got 58%, but fell by 2. And matter of fact, they had a marijuana initiative, which I would have voted against, but it didn't reach the number either to get to 60.
Yeah, and
so both failed.
Governor DeSantis is touting both of those things down there in Florida. Okay, we have some calls.
Let's go back there.
We begin in Pennsylvania, home to a razor-thin Senate race between incumbent Democrat Bob Casey and Republican businessman Dave McCormick. The Fox News decision desk says this is too early to make a call in Pennsylvania on that race.
This could be a big cheer. Fox News can project that Rick Scott, the Republican senator from Florida, will win his second term. We'll pause for applause down there with Aisha. In Maryland, it's too early to call the race between Democratic County Executive Angela Alsobrooks and former Republican Governor Larry Hogan. Alsobrooks has a lead, however, in our Fox News voter analysis as we wait for the raw vote total to come in.
And too early to call Missouri's Senate race between Republican Senator Josh Hawley and Democratic Attorney Lucas Kunce. Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn, though, we can tell you, will win once again in the state of Tennessee, another reliably conservative state.
Cool. In Mississippi, longtime GOP Senator Roger Wicker will take home another victory. The Fox News decision desk can project that in Massachusetts, Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren will win her third term.
I hate Massachusetts.
Connecticut's Democratic Senator Chris Murphy will also win a third term. Not enough data to project the main Senate race quite yet.
And in New Jersey, current Democratic House Rep Andy Kim will win his Senate race, putting him in the upper chamber for the first time. This is the Bob Menendez seat. In Delaware, Democratic House Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester will win her first Senate race.
In Rhode Island, Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse will return for a fourth term. And let's take a look at the balance of power and how it shapes up. At this point in the evening, 8:18 on the East Coast, you have 43 Republicans securing their seat. One seat was flipped. That is West Virginia. The former governor will now be Senator Jim Justice in West Virginia. 34 Democrats have secured their seats in the Senate, and a long way to go in the upper chamber as well.
We have a lot of raw vote totals starting to dump in from those early states. More Democracy 24 coverage ahead as we await the next round of poll closings.
Okay, I wish they would hurry up already. Okay, what we got here? Chip thought I was mad at him, he left. All right, so. Let's see here. I need Chip. Do you need the bathroom? All right, I'm gonna run this bumper as I take the dogs out. results here. At least not on this map. This map has nothing. Let's go back to Fox. Fox seems to be more ahead here.
Phenomenal. Of course, Friday we learned that last month we lost 28,000 private sector jobs. And by the way, you can talk about all the storms you want. All the experts who they put together to come up with these consensus numbers also factor that in. Our jobs numbers have been going down steadily since 2021, and now wages are really beginning to drop big time. Last week we had what they call the employment cost index. Wages are dropping, and that's bad news for everyone, particularly folks who are already having trouble keeping up. The inflation issue, and Trump went out on a dangerous limb when he talked about tariffs, because conservative economists hate it. Obviously, the media is going to hate it. No one will talk about the fact that the tariffs that he put in already have worked tremendously, have really hit China really hard. And by the way, the Biden administration pounced on them. They didn't take them away. They actually added to them. So, but all that negative press to go out there and say, I'm going to do this, when everyone's saying it's going to hurt the economy, a lot of people are listening to that. But still, folks know the bottom line is that the top 20% of Americans are doing 40% of the consumption. They have made all of the money under Biden-Harris policies, including flooding our country with cash we did not need. It was fun for regular folks when you got the stimmy check and went to the mall, but now everyone outside of the top 20% suffering big time.
May I add one thing, Martha, to the comment on jobs? Because here, too, it goes right back to policy, and that is the open border policy. The open border has not just had the effect on national security and our own personal security. The open border is an economic issue. For the last several years, what we have been seeing is an increase in jobs for non-citizens, illegal and legal, and a decrease in jobs for American citizens. That's important. People understand.
Kevin O'Leary, just with the quick time we have left, she has talked a lot about being from the middle class. It was the first sentence out of her mouth a lot. President Trump has been promising a golden age in an American economic future. What do you see winning these voters over tonight?
Well, I was disciplined when I was listening to both parties, and disappointed we didn't get into policy enough because it got crazy towards the end last few weeks. Let's go back to taxation. We compete internationally. It's not like this is just isolated to the U.S. A 28% tax rate takes us into the bottom quartile of competition. That means capital goes to other places. That's not a good outcome. So I would have liked to talk more about that. The idea of taxing unrealized capital gains is beyond insane. Nobody ever discussed that in the last 2 weeks. I look at that. I have to invest tomorrow morning no matter what happens. And the idea of price controls, that's a bad idea too. We left those alone, and they are very, very dangerous ideas.
But don't you think, I mean, with all due respect, Trump hammered away on every single thing you just talked about. He completely opposes the corporate tax.
All I remember was Nazi hunters.
All right, guys,
and I remember firing squads.
Well, then you need to read the you need to read the stories more carefully.
You guys continue the argument. Larry, Maria, Charles, Mr. Wonderful, continue that talk. We're going to make some calls.
That's because the hour is upon us, 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast, and the Fox Decision Desk can now project that former President Trump will win Arkansas. The state hasn't voted for a Democratic presidential candidate since Bill Clinton.
And as you look at the race to 270, as it ticks up, 111 for former President Trump, 72 for Vice President Harris. That'll be on your screen all night in the ticker there on the bottom. And then we'll scroll through the races by state. We'll look at Senate races, some House races, and governor's races as well. We're back with our panel here in studio. I think, Britt, they're still talking about the economy in that other studio. I think they're pretty much.
I kind of wish we missed it.
We just dip in.
Well, they were talking a lot more substance than when we heard on the campaign trail when it came in. They're absolutely right. I mean, we did not have a good debate, for instance, over economic issues, and it clearly is the #1 issue on people's minds. Brett?
You know, we didn't really get into policy. I'm keeping an eye here on what are called the non-MAGA Republican voters.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of discussion over the past several years about whether the anti-Trump Republican, the Never Trump movement, would end up mattering. Our voter analysis memos tells us that if she wins, that will be the decisive factor. I'm not quite sure I buy that, but it's interesting that And I think that what we have here, and the fact that the Trump campaign has made such an effort to turn out these low propensity voters, that is to say, what we might call unlikely voters, that might be how they plan to make up the difference among Republican voters that they might lose.
I think that has been the strategy, right? I mean, Kellyanne?
Sure. Well, we've said all night and all week, well, gee, we don't know anything. Well, here's what we do know, that the two parties had a primary season and only one party participated in it, the Republicans. We had a lot of strong men and I think at least one woman running in the Republican primary. One candidate and a super PAC spent $250 million to get 9 electoral votes. Another woman got 97 electoral votes. They spent over $100 million. I like them all very much. I'm glad they're part of the party. Donald Trump has expanded this party. Good candidates expand their party demographically, geographically. Florida, Iowa, Ohio, these are states President Obama won twice with well over 50% of the vote. We don't even talk about them as swing states anymore. He's going to get 1 million extra votes in Florida potentially tonight. So I have to push back a little bit about, is it this disaffected Republican? Every time there's a Republican of note, of name out there that goes and supports Kamala Harris, Liz Cheney and John Kelly and this, everybody just has to cover, the mainstream media has to cover it. They're missing the big story, which is the millions, maybe tens of millions of would-be, could-be, have-been Democrats voting for Donald Trump. They're rank and file people. They don't have big names. They're not going to go on MSNBC and crow about it and go campaign with Kamala Harris. They're showing up today, and they're showing up early. And the fact that he has converted this into the party of the worker, and he has told Americans not everybody has to be stuffed into a 4-year college degree, that the welders, the steel workers in Pennsylvania, the coal miners, they've got a seat at the table. They can work again. It's a big deal. Yeah. And she's not doing that. She's not winning black men. Folks, Barack Obama did not help her bridge this gap, at least in Georgia so far. We'll see in Michigan,
Jessica, we will see that because that blue wall will really tell us something. But it is changing. The party's changing. There's a lot of Reagan Democrats in this coalition. One of the things to note right now at this hour, we have not called the state of the Commonwealth of Virginia. It is a lot closer than people thought it would be. You know, the Trump campaign did a stop in Virginia. They thought it was closing. We're not calling it yet.
No, not yet. And we'll see when that happens. My expectation is still that Kamala Harris will win it. But I understand that President Trump ran an unorthodox campaign in terms of where he went and certainly the things that he was saying. And that's really what I'm paying attention to and what's gone on in Florida. Now, that's great for him, a feather in his cap. Ron DeSantis has done incredible work to make Florida a place that a lot of my own liberal friends are happy to be living. But that is inefficient vote when you are trying to become president. And Donald Trump went to a lot of places, like having a rally here at Madison Square Garden, going to Coachella to give a rally, spending time in New Mexico, which he lost twice. And I think that if Kamala Harris is victorious tonight, there should be some examination of why those campaign stops happened and if his time would have been better spent parked in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Arizona, and one of the blue wall states that he has to pick up, Pennsylvania, for sure.
We've got to go ahead.
Yeah, we'll see how that inefficient vote it's a real issue, and we have to see whether or not it actually pans out. And one of the reasons he went to New York and New Mexico and were these House races. I mean, there are House races in all of those places, so. And she did the same thing in places as well.
Hold on. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back with the panel, and we're going to dig into a lot of these numbers. Major poll closings coming up. We'll get our first look at Arizona. Remember Arizona? Michigan, Wisconsin. This is Fox News Democracy 24. Marches on.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. I still don't know why they did this one here. Still has the witch at 31. Ding dong, the wicked witch is there. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Okay, let's see. Let's kick in here. See if there's anything to report here. Republican victory. The first Senate seat has been flipped. I think we talked about it already. Voters in PA refuse to tell MSNBC who they're voting for. Wide left bills fan accosted by security for wearing Trump t-shirt. Kamala lying. Kamala, I'll protect Second Amendment while destroying Second Amendment, of course. Trump wins Iowa. All right, let's anything here? Nope, still at. So by 9 o'clock, there should be more, and I'm just gonna have. I can't. If I didn't have to work in the morning, I could hang out all night until it comes in, but I am not gonna do that. Otherwise, I'm gonna be a zombie. I could call out sick, but I don't like. I'm not gonna do that. Although, no, I'm not gonna do that. All right, they're back. I think they're back.
Again, if you were in line, even by that deadline, you were still able to cast a ballot, guys. We'll send it back to you.
Hey, Alex, thanks. Let's check in with Bill Hemmer. Listen, bounce around. We've got Virginia, you've got Texas, you've got a number of things happening. Ohio.
Yeah, let's get to it, okay? So this is Georgia. I just want to set this up for a moment here. She's performing slightly better than Biden in Douglas County. There's all the metro counties of Georgia. Slightly better in Cobb County. I still see a little of a sticky move here in Fulton County, okay? And maybe that becomes significant because of how many people live there. The problem here is that you've got DeKalb County, nothing reporting because the polls were suspended from that threat. So this is the first number I've seen from Gwinnett, all right? You're 16% in. She got about 60% of the votes, so a lot of the vote still remains out there. Let's move away from Georgia as requested. This is kind of interesting, guys. I mean, a lot of you folks live in the Washington, D.C. area. And right now, this is, with 40% of the vote in Virginia, the Commonwealth here, Donald Trump's got an edge here, okay? That's 8,000 raw votes. That's 0.4 percentage points. Here's the catch, however. A lot of this map's starting to fill in. This right here across from Washington, D.C. is Fairfax County, all right? Fairfax County is number 1 out of 133 counties in Virginia based on population. At the moment, you still have at least half of the vote still outstanding, and you see Kamala Harris was 67%. You would expect that in Fairfax. I'm just making the argument there's a lot of votes still out there, and it may determine whether or not the margin statewide hangs where it is right now, or whether or not it changes, okay? So watch that. You mentioned Texas. Let's jump on down there, and I'll tell you what's going on in Texas, all right? Too soon to call. Half of the vote is in. Half of the estimated vote is in at 51%. Trump's got a lead right now. Percentage-wise, 5 points, okay? So that's kind of what a lot of the pollsters had in Texas thus far this year. I'm going to come back to Georgia in a moment. Let me just see what's happening in Pennsylvania because this is critical, too. All right, so there's a ton of vote out there, by the way. I mean, there's no conclusions at the Keystone State. You're at 11%. I would keep an eye, on Pittsburgh. I'd keep an eye on Philadelphia. In fact, if we can, do we have a moment here? Why don't we go ahead and do the vote? Let's go ahead and do that, right? Let's do the vote margin for Pennsylvania, and let's see what's happening here. What we've done for you is we've tried to set up the state in a way where the more prominent counties are more extended than the others. So you see Philadelphia in the east and Pittsburgh and Allegheny County in the west. And the darker the blue, the more Democratic the vote is. The darker the red, the more Republican the vote is. If you see shades of blue, that means the margin in that county is 10% or less. If you see a shade of red, like a rosé, it's happy hour somewhere. If you see a shade of rosé, that's 10% or less, too. So those are counties that we want to watch. Let's look at the vote margin now for Georgia. This is interesting, right? So we just went over there on the board, and we showed you the metro counties throughout Atlanta. Let's find out where the outstanding vote for Georgia is at the moment. So what we want to do here, the deeper the purple, the more outstanding votes. So you can go to the more populated counties, perhaps like DeKalb County. You can look at DeKalb on the map, 0% in the upper right-hand corner. Can't know anything from DeKalb. What about Fulton? Fulton. You see, Fulton, 70% of that vote is now in. So that's certainly one to watch. What about Gwinnett? All right, still at 16%. Kevin, go ahead and arm up and look at Cobb County, just to the northwest of Atlanta there. This is Newt Gingrich's old district, heavily Republican for decades. And Around 2016, it flipped toward the Democrats, and right now, a little more than 50% of the vote in. So, Kevin, come on back down here a moment. One county I haven't checked in on, when you look at the African-American turnout, look at Chatham. Chatham is where Savannah is, down there along the coast. You only have 5% of the vote reporting. Chatham was one of these counties in 2020 that took forever to get the vote in. I don't know if that's going to be the same way again this year, but we're waiting to see about African-American turnout, as we suggested a moment ago, about African-American men supporting Donald Trump. Let's go ahead and look at the vote margin, rather, for Georgia. The vote margin for Georgia right now, let's go statewide. So we move away from Chatham. We go statewide in Georgia. So Chatham's still at 5%, and for statewide, you're at 44%. So a lot of vote out in the Peach State. Go ahead and clear this, and we'll get back to this in a moment.
Senate.
In Georgia and elsewhere. So, Martha,
I think that's really interesting about what's coming in. I think that these states, as these numbers come in, Democrats have high hopes about someplace like Texas, about something like Ohio, where they look at the Ann Seltzer poll from Des Moines and say, is this indicative of the Midwest? But we're not seeing that in our Fox News voter analysis match. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so come on over here. I haven't checked Ohio yet. It's a good state here to examine because Trump won it twice by 8 points. Let's measure his strength right now in 2020, or about halfway in, okay? Kamala Harris doing better on the margins here, okay? 3.5 points statewide, so some vote out there. But Trump has proven to be pretty strong here in Ohio the last 2 times around. We'll see whether or not he can hold. Big Senate race in Ohio as well. Bernie Moreno against Sherrod Brown. We'll track that throughout the night as well. Basically in Ohio, you've got Cincinnati and Hamilton County. You got Columbus and Franklin County. You got Cleveland and Cuyahoga. Those are your 3 main population centers. They have been blue for some time. I would not expect them to be even a shade of rosé, okay? But let's go into my hometown. That's Hamilton County. Strong performance here. About 2/3 of the vote going to Kamala Harris. This is one of these that's the cities where the progressives and the Democratic movement has gotten to be pretty strong, especially in local government as well in that city. This is Franklin County. You got Ohio State University there, so you got a strong student vote as well. Greater than 2/3 going to Kamala Harris right now. In 2020, the final vote in Franklin County, which is Columbus, you had 65% of the vote for Joe Biden there. So a little bit of the vote still out there, but she is overperforming Biden's number from 4 years ago. And this, I'll just finish up here, guys. Cuyahoga, to check this. Heavily Democratic, 3-1 Democratic votes in Cleveland, Ohio. Cuyahoga, just about 1/3 of the vote right now is in. And Kamala Harris, 71%. And Biden was at 66. So that'd be a good number for Kamala Harris if indeed that holds up. And I think that kind of tells us a little bit about why this number is closer than it's been the last 2 times around.
Do you want to talk to your co-anchor, Dana?
Well, one of the things I think is pretty interesting is especially when you're looking at or considering the political realignment that we're living in, and also the population changes, right? So post-COVID, people leaving the North and the Midwest and going South. That's one of the things that, as somebody from Colorado will say, all these people moved in from California, and Colorado was reliably red. When I was a kid, it is now reliably blue. And so you get South Park making fun of California all the time and being very frustrated that they moved there. That's not happening in the South. So if people are leaving the Northeast and moving to Florida, they're not all of a sudden bringing a bunch of Democratic politics with them. So there might be a little bit of a change here to watch in the numbers there. The other thing I wanted to say is that one of the things I think we're seeing, especially with some of these lower propensity voters, or whatever we're calling them, unlikely voters, is that the...
Okay. All right. Let's see. Where's X? Let's see if anything good on X. Let's refresh X. Let's see. Nothing good here. Let's go back here. Let's refresh. Nothing here. Senate victory, Republic. Okay, I saw this already. Let's go back.
Since Glenn Youngkin was elected over Terry McAuliffe on the issues of wokeness and education and just really post-COVID policies, these school board elections. I think we're having a parents' rights renaissance in this country that continues. And I think two pillars that we don't cover enough in all the issues, the themes here, are wokeness and weakness. In our Fox News voter analysis, Trump is seen as the strong leader by more than 10 points over Kamala Harris, strength over weakness. But it's also fairness over wokeness. People feel like life is increasingly unfair. They don't want men and women's sports. They don't want to think their kids are stuck in schools based on their zip code. They don't want the pipe fitters and plumbers to pay for student loans of doctors and lawyers. And they don't want 10 million people to come here, including in all these states we're seeing, and get cash and cell phones and clothing and hotel rooms. They just say it's unfair. But wokeness is on the ballot, whether we feel it or not. I'll never understand how Kamala Harris chose someone in Tim Walz who was to the left of her on the woke agenda.
Harold, quickly.
So you look at, we talk about early surprises. Jesse and I love sports, so do you, Brett. When you can get a quick touchdown in a game against somebody you're not supposed to beat. If he wins Virginia, this is a big thing. This is one of those early things.
Okay. I am getting tired. 10 minutes. 9:15 at the latest. I'm checking out, dude, because I am beat. I am beat. Okay. Let's what do you call it? Let's, what am I looking for? Here we go. All right. Thanksgiving is around the corner. If you are looking for a Thanksgiving book, check this one out. Right here. Thanksgiving at the Lighthouse. It's ebook, only $2.99. And basically it's Thanksgiving at the Lighthouse tells the moving story of Reed family and their neighbors, a close-knit community. So it's a feel-good book for Thanksgiving. Go ahead and get it. It's called Thanksgiving at the Lighthouse by Killian Flynn. So go ahead and check that out. All right, let's get back to some of this. Oh, what's going on with his face? Oh boy, what happened to him?
Surgeries over 2 years that I spent in the hospital. We were worried. We didn't know how we were going to be able to pay for the house, how we were going to continue to pay our mortgage. That's when the Tunnel to Towers Foundation stepped in and said, we have a solution for your problem. We don't have to worry about packing up and moving somewhere else.
Okay, this is one of these infomercials, I think. Well, not infomercial, but ads. Oh boy, I'm tired. Did I mention I'm tired? Okay, what do we got? Okay, finally she moved up over here. They finally gave her Rhode Island. You might give her the rest of those. She won those. Cruz is not performing well at all. I am surprised by that. I really am surprised by that. Let's see, where is he? Let's go back to Texas. By state, Texas. Let me see, where are you? here, he's still losing Texas with 52% of the vote in, so he could still come back and win this. We'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on that. All right, let's get back over here.
Away. So meanwhile, let's check back in with Harris Faulkner, who is speaking with voters and hearing their voices. Hi, Harris.
And watching everything you guys are doing, Martha. Thank you. This is Voters' Voices, and I'm Harris Faulkner. Here with me, polling expert Lee Carter. And we have a fabulous audience of voters talking with us about the top issues in the race for the White House. Most polls show the economy is the voters' top issue. Now a clip from Vice President Kamala Harris.
Okay, nope, I'm not. Let's get out of there. I want to see that B. By B, I mean B with the itch. It's B, the B with the itch. Okay, let's get out of there. Go over here. Come on already. 5 minutes to 9 o'clock. Five minutes to 9 o'clock, folks. I'm sleepy. In fact, to ensure I'm gonna fall asleep. Oh, that's not it. Where's my melatonin? There it is. My melatonin. Let's see, is it supposed to be 1 or 2? Take 1. Okay, I'll take 1 hour before bed. Perfect. It's almost an hour before bed. Technically, an hour before bed would be about 10 o'clock. Whatever, let's take it now. All right. Let's get back to... Let's see, is Harris done talking? Oh, I don't want to hear them. Still got a lot to go, dude. So if you're looking at this map, could it blow up? Could it get any bigger? Looking at this map, let's see. Looks like this get 12 points from here. California is 54, so we know that. Where's my phone? Let's do some math. Let's do a little bit of math there. So let's see, calculator. So right now Trump is at 111. 1 plus, let's assume he's gonna get Texas plus 40. Okay. Georgia, he should get Georgia. So I'm gonna put plus 16 for Georgia. And he should get North Carolina, so that's another 16. Plus 16. So that's like 183. Let's see. Nevada, I don't know about Nevada. Kansas. I did Texas, right? I think I did Texas already. Wisconsin, he should get that one too. Plus 10. And he should get he should get Minnesota, I'm thinking, plus 10. What else? Arizona, he should get that one, plus 11. What else we got here? Kansas, he should get that one. What else did he get? I don't know. I hate math. It's hurting my head. I'm not gonna try to do this game anymore. Let's go back to Fox. See if there's anything that's been called.
Today, they would have needed massive turnout. They would need massive turnout, yes, at the universities. It seems like they got it. But there's about 25,000 students that go to Temple. There's about 10,000 that go to Penn State. There's about 6,000 that go to Lehigh University. Okay, that's not making up 700,000 votes. So then we look at traditionally. Who else is voting in Philly? African Americans, a lot of union workers. Did they show up in the numbers? There are people reporting that it was a massive turnout in Philly today. I just got off the phone with the Trump War Room in Philadelphia, and they said they don't see it. Now, it's either one way or the other. The fact that they don't know the answer to that is a little surprising to me. If those numbers aren't there, that means Pennsylvania is a state that is in the state of play big time tonight. It may not show up early, but it'll show up as the night evolves, just like Wisconsin will.
I would just mention one other thing about the college students is that there's been such a focus on young men, and these podcasts are the podcasts that college boys are watching and listening to. Theo Vaughn, Joe Rogan, Jake Paul, all of these guys. So, just because they're in college doesn't mean this time around that they're necessarily voting the way that you think college students would.
We also welcome Kayleigh McEnany, Trey Gowdy. Kayleigh, the interesting thing I mentioned earlier was Florida. We've already called that state for the former president, but inside those numbers, there's a massive Puerto Rican turnout in Osceola County and other places.
Yes.
In other places, the media would tell you that MSG rally really upset the Puerto Rican vote outpouring, but Trump won that overwhelmingly with a massive Puerto Rican turnout. I'm not sure it affects things one-to-one, but it is interesting to look at.
It is. So Osceola County, as you point out, a big Puerto Rican population. Listen to this. Joe Biden won Osceola County by 14%. With 95% reporting currently, Donald Trump is leading by 1. Now, what other national lessons can we take from Florida? Miami-Dade County, a huge Latino population. No presidential candidate has won that since 1988. Ron DeSantis, of course, won Miami-Dade as a governor. But currently, Donald Trump in Miami-Dade County with 95% reporting is plus 11.
Yeah. Thank you. The electoral vote count about to go up. Stay tuned.
We are seconds away from 15 states, including New York, Colorado, Texas.
Oh, man. Okay. So the numbers went up over here. Kamala 95, Trump 153. Let's see. Okay. Let's go back to Cruz, see how he's doing. Haven't moved at all. Okay.
To his column, former president also has a lead in Iowa. There's no call at the top of the hour here. Remember that Iowa poll had people scrambling there at the Des Moines Register saying it was Harris lead by 3.
Yeah, the same day Emerson had him up by 10, but that got a lot of people's attention because Ann Seltzer is such a well-known and usually correct pollster. So we'll see how Iowa plays out tonight. In Nebraska, the Fox News Decision Desk can project that Trump will win the statewide vote. Nebraska gives 2 electoral votes to the winner of the state and 1 vote to the presidential winner in each of their districts. So Trump will also win Nebraska's 1st and 3rd districts, the more suburban 2nd district, Omaha, which is the blue dot that we have talked so much about. That is too early to call, but Harris has a lead there.
The Fox News decision desk can project that Vice President Harris will win New York, giving the vice president 28 more electoral votes. She also has a lead in Minnesota. Too early to call the state of Minnesota, which closed in recent days, according to the polling.
Obviously, the vice presidential candidate, Tim Walz, from Minnesota, and now Fox News can project a Harris victory in Colorado as well. She gets 10 more electoral college votes there. New Mexico, too early to call, but Harris has a lead, according to our Fox News voter analysis in New Mexico.
Former President Trump will win Louisiana, which has voted for a Republican in every election this century. Pretty sure we were going to get that one. Trump also wins Kansas, adding another 6 electoral votes to his tally.
The former president will win North Dakota, a longtime conservative state as well. He will also take South Dakota, which often mirrors the vote of its neighbor to the north.
And Fox News can project that the former president will win Wyoming, with 3 electoral votes. So there you see the tally on your screen, 178 electoral votes to 113. That map of the U.S. is slowly filling in, and we will continue to bring that to you throughout the night as we make more calls.
So moving to the Senate and back to the Rust Belt as well. The Fox News decision desk say it is too early to call this race, which we've been watching between incumbent Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin, who is in a close race now with Republican banker and entrepreneur Eric Hovde.
Michigan Senate race also too early to call. Former GOP Congressman Mike Rogers competing against current Democratic House Representative Alyssa Slotkin. In Arizona, Democratic House Representative Ruben Gallego has a lead on Republican candidate Carrie Lake, also too early to call out there.
Let's go to Nebraska, and there are 2 Senate races on the ballot today, and the race between incumbent Deb Fischer and independent Dan Osborne is close to call, and too early to call, I should say, according to our decision desk. Fox News can project that Republican Pete Ricketts will continue to serve as a Nebraska senator.
In Texas, 2-term Senator Ted Cruz is locked in a close race
wow.
against current
He did
Democratic
pull it
Congressman
off.
Colin Allred. Too early to call that race, according to the decision desk, but they can project that Minnesota's Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar will sail to a 4th term.
New York Democratic Senator Kristen Gillibrand will win another term in the Empire State, and Democrats will hold their seat in New Mexico, where Senator Martin Heinrich defeats Republican Nella Domenici.
Daughter of the late Senator Domenici. Yes. North Dakota's GOP Senator Kevin Cramer will easily win a 2nd term. And in Wyoming, Senator John Barrasso will also win re-election as he serves as the chair of the Senate Republican Conference.
So let's take a look at how the Senate is stacking up at this hour, 9:04 on the East Coast, and we have 46 Republicans. The one flip, which we have mentioned, is West Virginia, waiting for other states that are on the bubble and close and early at this point in the night. 37 Democrats are hanging on to their seats in the United States Senate.
I think this is like where everything starts to gel.
Exactly.
And we start to get more of the hard numbers. Let's go to Bill at the billboard. Yeah. Harold, I'm sorry, Texas went to the Republicans.
No, I just think the numbers.
All right. Come on. I just want to go to bed. All right, let's get out. Oh yeah, I did show it. Texas. I mean, Cruz 51% here. All right, so. I'm so tired. I don't know much about these states here. Besides California, I know it's going to the witch. But how many of these that are left are blue states? I don't really know. I mean, I guess I could look it up. And that'll give me an idea. Let's see. What states are blue? Okay, red states and blue states. Okay, just give it to me better. Let's see here. Blue states. Here we go. So look like California I knew. Oregon, I should have known that one. Alright, so how many more blue states, red states? So it looks like this will go for Trump. Wait, no, that'll go for the witch. So this one will go to Trump, that's 4 points. Maybe, it's not exactly red. Wyoming, already gone for Trump. Where's Colorado go? That's blue. Nevada. So it looks like a lot of blue left. There's not much red left. Which is not. I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe 4? I don't know. Come on, lights. I've been sitting here too long. The lights went off on me. Let's see. Alright, what's going on here? Let's see anything.
You're right about that, right? A little something on the side, a little backsheesh, right, Brett? Okay, so this is Michigan. It's the first time I've looked at it, all right? You got 10% in, all right? Look at this. Yeah. Robert Kennedy going to make a difference in Michigan? He is on the ballot. They tried to get him off the ballot. The court said, no, you got to be on the ballot. He's drawing 2,455 raw votes. Okay, now, if Michigan is that close, it's just something that we're going to have to watch throughout the night to see whether or not this is some sort of spoiler for the red team and whether or not it helps out Team Blue in Michigan so far. So that's for you, by the way.
Let's interact with the panel here. Yes. Trey Gowdy's here. You know, what about that point about third party? RFK Jr. tries. First of all, the Democrats try to prevent him from getting on the ballot. And then the Democrats try to prevent him from getting off the ballot. Now, he's on the ballot in Michigan and Wisconsin, also Minnesota. But Michigan and Wisconsin, obviously, if it comes down to really tight, that could make a difference.
Why would anyone vote for someone who doesn't want to be the president and has asked you not to? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who are these 0.4% that are voting for someone who has begged you not to vote for him? If you want to see him in Washington, don't vote for him. But it reminds me of Jill Stein. I mean, I think Jill Stein cost Hillary Clinton a state. I know that Ross Perot cost Bush a presidential election. I was in the green room, Brett, doing what I did in high school, which is finding the two smartest kids in the class and sitting in between them and looking on their papers.
Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, man. Come on. I'm going to have to end this soon. Seriously, 9:30 is the cutoff, and I am outie. I'll just have to wake up in the morning and see what happens. I don't want to, but either way, life is going to go on. Forecast. Oh boy. Let's see. So with this forecast, it's almost neck and neck, 226 to 230, according to this forecast.
some of the, just on X, watching some of the Democrats complain about the Electoral College. And, you know, about a week ago, there was some conventional wisdom that she could actually win the Electoral College, but that Trump would win the popular vote. And then there would be no complaints about the Electoral College from them if that were to happen. So obviously it's too soon to call, but I'm certainly watching that to see what they're going to say. Plus, I have been wondering about Kamala Harris and this whole decision of Biden to run again when she knew that he was incapable, but they were still asking their donors, give us all your money. He's okay for 4 more years. And obviously he wasn't. But then that did not leave her enough time, apparently, that's another complaint that they have, for her to introduce herself, even though they had over $1 billion to do it.
And they had 100 days, Harold, and she passed up a lot of opportunities early on. I think we went for, I don't know, 40 days or something with no press conference, and it took a really long time for her to finally sit down with Brett and have a substantive interview. I mean, there was time.
Sure. Again, we're acting like this thing is over. I hear you.
No, we're not. No, we're not. I was just playing off of Dana's point.
But I do think after the debate, she performed so well against Trump. She asked for another debate. I thought that the interview that Brett did with her was as substantive an interview as we've seen with her throughout the last several years. You would have thought, because she did well there, that she would want to go and do more of them. But
more interviews?
More interviews to sit down and talk.
After the one with Brett?
After the one with Brett.
She booted the question about when she first knew that he was not himself.
Well, I have a slightly different opinion on that. I thought she did. She gave in that interview, and I thought if I were her, I'd have gotten out and done more. But she did some, and
she was so cautious.
She gave a pre-debate answer. She said, "Biden's great. He's fine. I've seen him do all this wonderful
Brett, I would have done it very differently than her. However,
I'm sure you would have.
But the way she did it, she put herself in a position to be 50-50 here this evening. And if we're to believe Trey, this thing could be listening to the two smart guys in the green room. It could be 269. She must have done something right. I still look at Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Since 1980, those 3 states have not gone all together other than 1988. Dukakis got Wisconsin and HW won the other 2. If the numbers are tracking right and continue along those lines, we could find ourselves in a position where we're having a conversation about a Congress. Then it would be curious, Sean, if the Democrats win the House. How does that play into it? Look, I hope we don't get there, because I don't want this fight. The country doesn't need this division.
But the House does the president and the Senate does the vice president. So you could end up with President Trump and Vice President Harris.
But they vote after the election.
They vote after the election, and it's only 1 vote per delegation. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Get ahead of ourselves here.
Is digging into the voter analysis stuff and how it tracks with the raw vote and what we're seeing.
Just trying to keep feeding your conversation there. And Martha, I know you were asking about the suburban vote and what we're seeing with our Fox News voter analysis and some really interesting findings I'll put up here for you. As far
14 more minutes and I gotta make a call. It's bedtime. I'm not gonna stay up. Shoot, I'm tired. What else we got here? Let's see what this map says. Map. Forecast. Oh man. What is it calling on that? I think they're calling something. What is this? Ohio for Trump.
To 45%. So obviously that was what was anticipated in the early polling. He was ahead by about 8 points. This is a 9-point stretch, so a little bit higher than the most recent polling was showing in the state of Ohio, but a solid win for him in what used to be a swing state, but hasn't been for quite some time.
And obviously there's 54% of the vote in, but as you look at the Electoral College, 195 to 113. Again, Ohio used to be the swingiest of swing states, no longer, very Republican, much like Florida, and now it ticks on. Obviously, we're looking at these battleground states. One of them, Sean Hannity, it seems, is Virginia. You just got a message from the governor?
I've been communicating with Governor Youngkin, and the last text, at one point I said, so it's not in reach. He just said, hold on, really tight. Yeah. Exact quote from Glenn Youngkin. Here's what's interesting. All night I've been looking for an answer to the question about turnout in Philly and the suburbs of Philly. We talked earlier about the university population. That's one part of the population. But the vote lead was 700,000 below what they were in 2020. So that's a lot of ground to make up. From the Trump campaign, now take it, this is what they're saying. They believe this is going to be a tortoise hare kind of night for them in Pennsylvania, in as much as they don't even think Harris got 200,000 of the 700 that she needs to make up. Those are the numbers that they are saying. Now, if that is true, that would mean African-American turnout did not appear to the number and degree that they wanted. And secondarily, any other vote they thought, the union vote, workers are not going her way either in Pennsylvania. Anecdotal, that's their side, but I'm telling you what they're thinking.
That raises obvious questions. You know, if you're Joe Biden at the White House right now, sitting at home, you're thinking, I'm Scranton Joe, and I have this great relationship with the unions all these years. And if she does end up, and we just want to continue to caution that we're waiting for a lot of data to come in here. He's shaking his head and saying, I could have won.
It's just interesting that they're analyzing this data like we all are, and that is their take on it. I'm sure the Harris campaign, for the better part of the night, I was hearing from either reporters or Democrats. Believe it or not, I have a few of those friends. And I was hearing from them, oh, huge turnout in Philly, huge turnout in Philly. And I said, tell me, where was the turnout? Could never get an answer.
Right.
And so finally, now the answer is beginning to come in. And that would be the Trump War Room. That would be the Mar-a-Lago crowd. Their degree of confidence is going up minute by minute. Take that for what it's worth.
Okay, Harold, let me just ask you this. I was in communication with Harris folks, with Democrats. They haven't had anything in a while. I mean, are you hearing anything from?
My communication resembles yours. I'm not have a lot of that either. I think these numbers are concerning. The numbers that Sandra's raising on the other side there, combined with what you just said, Sean, is room for concern in both Virginia and Pennsylvania. So I've not heard anything either.
Okay. The polls are closed in battleground Wisconsin. We're going to check in there on the ground with senior correspondent Mike Tobin in Milwaukee, learning about some issues with more than a dozen tabulation machines. What's that about, Mike?
More than a dozen tabulation machines and 31,000 ballots. And as a result, the city put out an all call for volunteers. So they've got firefighters, healthcare workers, and IT workers all showing up here to help with the retabulation of those 31,000 ballots. Now, the heart of the problem, I can show you as we zoom in over my shoulder, are these tabulation machines. There are 13 of these tabulation machines here at Central Count. If you look close to the back of the machine, there are stickers on the back of the machine. Those act as the seal. The seals were in place, according to city officials and election commission officials, but there's a locking mechanism there as well. A Republican observer noted that the locking mechanisms had not been engaged. First, we were told on one machine, then some of the machines, then all 13 machines. 31,000 ballots in question. The city says they believe the integrity of those votes was never compromised. Still, out of 107,000 ballots, those now need to be retabulated. Some 43,000 ballots have been counted here as of this point, but they've got these additional volunteers to try to speed up the process. We expected to get final numbers somewhere around 1 or 2 a.m. The city now only says it's going to be later than that. The city wants to pass this off as an abundance of caution, or a very cautious move. Republicans are upset about it. The RNC chairs, Michael Whatley and Laura Trump, put out a statement calling this an unacceptable example of incompetence. Wisconsin officials are here to try to get some questions answered. Brett and Martha?
It's a long night in Milwaukee. Thank you, Mike. So the Fox News Decision Desk can now project that Vice President Harris will win Delaware, the home state of President Biden. And there is the look at the race to 270. That makes it Trump 195, Harris 113 at this hour. And we have another call to make as well.
In a key governor's race, Fox News can now project that Republican Kelly Ayotte will become the next governor of New Hampshire. She defeats Democrat Joyce Gregg. And that was a close race for a while, but Kelly Ayotte will win there. Here are a couple of other results we're getting as our Democracy 24 coverage continues. It'll be on the screen all night long.
All right, guys. 6 minutes and I really have to go. I'm tired. You don't want to see me on screen being tired, do you? Of course not. Yeah, I gotta go. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm tired. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll check it out then. So yeah, that's it. That's it for my coverage. I think I've been here over 2 hours, so yeah. Hopefully in the morning I don't go to work a raging lunatic. But all right, that's it for me, folks.
Random thoughts, politics.